Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines. We're very fortunate to have as our guest Judge Freddie Pitcher. The judge is now the Chancellor of Southern University's Law Center. He took over in 2003 and has made some significant improvements and changes to the Law Center. Particularly, it's been recognized by U.S. News World Report that it's the most popular, that it's the best value for a law school, and many other recognitions. He's increased the admission standards, not everybody can get in, and fantastically, instead of 4 out of 10 passing the bar when he took over, it's now 7 out of 10. So join us on the next Legal Lines with Judge Freddie Pitcher. Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Sean Fagan, and Corey Ogeron, and our entire staff for letting us come into your homes for the last 10 years via Legal Lines. We hope that you've come to a greater understanding of how the law works and how the government works for you. So from all of us, thank you. Welcome to Legal Lines. I'm very pleased to have on the show today Judge Freddie Pitcher. He's the Chancellor of Southern University's Law Center. Judge, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Locke.
Tell the folks a little bit of background, because you have a wonderful background and you've really you've been a judge at everywhere you can be a judge, and then you bring that experience to the law school. It's fantastic.
Well, thank you. I've been blessed to have a real good career, I think. Well, I'm originally from Baton Rouge. Went to public schools here in Baton Rouge, Southern University undergrad, and finished law school there in 1973. Practiced law here in Baton Rouge for a number of years.
And what was your focus there, Judge?
I had a general practice. Matter of fact, Judge Ralph Tyson, who recently died,
yeah.
Judge Tyson and I had a practice together. It was Pitcher and Tyson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we practiced together for about 10 years.
And he was a judge on the federal district court.
Right. We kind of like, I left Plank Road. Our office was on Plank Road. I was elected to the city court, first African-American elected to the Baton Rouge City Court, and I was on that court for about 5 years. Then I was elected to the 19th Judicial District Court, and then I was elected to the First Circuit Court of Appeals without opposition.
And every one of those positions, you were the first African-American?
First African-American, right, on
Fantastic.
each one, yes. And while I was on the First Circuit, I got a chance to sit on the Louisiana Supreme Court as an Associate Justice ad hoc. And you know, all of those experiences were really just fantastic. After I left the city court, I was the only African-American judge for the first 6 years. And then Judge Tyson followed me on the city court, Judge Calloway on the city court, and when I went up to the District Court of Appeals, Judge Tyson then moved to the district court. We kind of like followed one another for a while.
That's fantastic.
But he hit the big time when he went to the federal court.
No more elections there, huh?
Right.
Because the federal judge is appointed by the president for life.
Right. So after being on the First Circuit for 5 years, I was enticed to leave the bench and take a partnership with Phelps Dunbar.
Big firm, big law firm.
Yes. Matter of fact, I was the first African-American partner in the Baton Rouge office. I was actually the third African-American partner in that 245-man law firm.
And just so folks understand, when you're a partner, that means you're up at the top echelon. You're the one
kind of the big cheese stuff. You know, you're one of the guys. You know, who,
top of the pyramid.
Yeah. And I was with Phelps for 6 years. And I got the call to come to Southern, and it was a job that I really wasn't looking to do because I was very happy at Phelps.
Had you ever even contemplated such a position?
Well, not really. I'd been a long-time adjunct faculty member. After I was elected to the city court, Dean and then Chancellor Ackner-Hotry invited me to be an adjunct professor.
And so you taught courses to students, and what I think I read criminal and one other.
Yeah, criminal law, one of my areas, alternative dispute resolution was another area that also pretrial litigation is a course that I taught at Southern and at LSU.
And of course, you were well capable of doing that because of sitting on the bench for so many years.
Well, you know, I thought I'd been around and involved in a few trials in my career. So
I think I read authored over 200 opinions.
Yeah, actually it was probably more than that, but yes, well, so on the First Circuit, we averaged quite a few opinions per cycle.
Judge, explain to the folks, just so they kind of understand the difference between being a judge on the city court versus a judge on the 19th Judicial District Court, the appellate court, and then the Supreme Court of Louisiana.
Right. Well, the city court is a court of limited jurisdiction, and you have civil jurisdiction at that time of up to $10,000. I think while I was on the court, we got the jurisdictional limits up to I think about 25,000.
So that would increase the caseload.
Increase the caseload. Additionally, your criminal jurisdiction only dealt with misdemeanors. However, when moving to the district court, it's a court of general jurisdiction. And as a court of general jurisdiction, you are capable of handling everything from civil matters, infinite amounts of money, millions and millions of dollars from the civil side, and on the criminal side, go from misdemeanors to first-degree murder. And, death penalty, right. Matter of fact, I served primarily on the criminal court when I was on district, and I presided over 2 death penalty cases, while I was there. So.
And for the folks to understand, at the city court, when you're at the district trial level, I call it the front lines. You're there, you're listening and evaluating witnesses and experts, you're looking at the documents. I mean, you're doing it all.
Right, absolutely. You don't have jury trials at the city court level, and the trial judge is the finder of fact and decision maker on everything. At the district court level, you have jury trials, both civil and criminal. The jury's finders of fact, and the judge is the finder of the law.
Right.
And consequently, it's a big distinction between the two.
Now, occasionally, I know the parties who are litigating can waive the jury and allow a judge to rule.
Right.
That happens on occasions.
Right, it does.
But obviously, I think jury trials are probably more prevalent than the other.
Right. And at the appellate level, you're strictly looking at matters that have been, where parties have been aggrieved at the district court or city court level, who are looking to either have a case overturned or have a case decided in a different way, expanded upon what they may have recovered at the district court level, and the appellate courts then will look at those cases. You don't take any testimony. There are no witnesses. It's strictly based upon the appellate briefs and the oral arguments by counsel, and it's quite different.
Well, I think typically the panels are of 3 judges.
3 judge panels, right, and sometimes you end up having to sit en banc. That's all of the judges of the court, looking to decide a case where there's maybe a difference in the of decisions that have come up through that same court, but different panels are taking different positions, and
so everybody gets
together and try to harmonize, what the outcome is.
And then at the Supreme Court level, you sat as a justice ad hoc.
Yeah, the Supreme Court is basically a writ court. The Supreme Court does not have to take every case that comes up to it. And again, this is generally where you've had a difference of opinions in the various circuits. In Louisiana, you have 5 circuits, and the Supreme Court tried to take those cases to harmonize the law, to make sure that you don't have folks running afoul of different
decisions.
areas. Yeah.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with Judge Freddie Pitcher. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Sean Fagan, and Corey Ogeron, and our entire staff for letting us come into your homes for the last 10 years via Legal Lines. We hope that you've come to a greater understanding of how the law works and how the government works for you. So from all of us, thank you. Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. Again, we're very pleased to have on the show Judge Freddie Pitcher. He's the Chancellor for Southern University's Law Center. Again, Judge, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Locke.
We were kind of giving folks your background as a city court judge, a trial court judge, First Circuit appellate court judge, and then ad hoc on the Supreme Court, and kind of talked about the differences of what you did in those levels. And then you bring that experience now, I think in 2003, as Chancellor of Southern's Law Center. Explain to the folks how that happened.
Well, quite interesting. I was not looking for the job. I was having a great time as a partner at Phelps Dunbar. You know, as a partner, you do well financially, and sure. I was enjoying that. And I started getting calls from some alumni members who asked me to consider applying for the chancellorship. Dean and Chancellor Agner Holtry, who had been the chancellor and dean for some 27 years, had stepped down, and the Board of Supervisors was looking to hire a new chancellor. They went through a chancellor search, which I did not apply. I didn't apply for the job. And I actually called somebody who I thought had gotten a job and congratulated him. I told him I was there to support him. And come to find out that the board was deadlocked and decided to reopen the applications for the position. And so I started getting these calls, and folks said, you know, the Law Center was in dire need of leadership, and asked me to consider it. And you know, I talked to my wife about it, and my daughter, and we kind of like kicked it around. And this is a call that I couldn't turn down. I said I'd go ahead and make the application, and it turned out the board hired me as the chancellor in 2003, actually 2002, and I took the position in January of 2003. So bottom line is, it was in some ways a sacrifice by you, because you'd hit the top of the pyramid and things are nice up there, I know, and then all of a sudden you're thrown in and you're running a whole bunch of people and dealing with a whole lot of problems. It's, you know, what's been interesting about all of this, you know, in each one of my jobs, I always thought that, well, you know, I'm here and I'm going to be here for a while, you know, and then something else comes up, you know, and I'm moving on. That's the way I moved up through the judicial ranks. And yes, you know, coming to Southern was quite different. It was in an academic institution where I'd only been an ad hoc, well, an adjunct professor rather. Yes. And I came in, taught my course, and I left and went about my business. And I wasn't involved in the politics. I didn't know all the nuances that went on in law schools. But when I came, I knew that we had to do something real forthright and far-reaching in order to move the law school from where it was at that time, because we were teetering on getting whether or not we would actually get reaccredited by the ABA. The ABA was holding up the decision on the accreditation. And so for folks to understand what that means, bottom line is they were about to say, we don't want you guys training lawyers. Yeah, they said, you know, we were not meeting the standards that the American Bar Association has set for law schools in order to be a member of the academy. You know, if you are not meeting the standards, then you should not be out here trying to train lawyers. And when I came aboard, there were several faculty members, and the interim administration had worked untiringly. The then acting Chancellor Arthur Stallworth, along with Roderick White and several faculty members had worked hard to tweak some of the responses that they had to give to the American Bar Association to try to assure them that we were on the right path.
Did they put it the center on like a probation period?
Well, we were close to being on probation, but it didn't happen. I think that they got the assurances that we would be moving forward, I came in knowing that we were in a rather precarious situation, that the next accreditation cycle was coming up in 2007. And that I had a 4-year window in order to turn around a lot of the
big ship
findings that they had found. We had issues with faculty scholarship. We had issues with the lack of alumni participation in what was going on at the law school. We had yes, a lot of things.
So the bar comes in and they literally do almost like an investigation of all kinds of aspects.
Right. They put together. You have a sabbatical. Excuse me. You have a sabbatical review cycle where they come in anywhere from 6 to 7 persons from various law schools outside, they have, sometimes they'll have a judge assigned to this committee, and they do a review of your academic program and to determine whether or not you're meeting the standards that the ABA has set for your law school.
So when you took over, it was a mess. It was going from the top of the pyramid to something you had to really pour yourself into.
And something that it was a new animal for me because I wasn't a part of that academic life, and very quickly we decided that we had to make some changes to things. We like our legal writing program, we only had 2 persons teaching legal writing for 140 students.
Wow. And I think you mentioned 25 was really supposed to be max student-teacher ratio.
Absolutely. The recommended ratio was something like 25-1. Even 20-1 would be even better. And so one of the things I quickly did was try to beef up our legal writing faculty, because that was creating a problem for us on the bar exam.
Which is the ultimate goal, that your student can pass the bar so he can be a lawyer.
Yeah, and bar passage was an issue, another one of the issues that we had, and we had to do something drastically to in turn that around as well. And it's basically based on first-time bar passage, because our longitudinal bar passage, that is the long-term bar passage, was fine. A person would take the bar exam a couple of times and eventually would pass. In Louisiana, we had up until this July coming, you could say conditionally pass or fail the bar, and you would only have to take the parts that you failed in order to pass. Well, that's being eliminated now. But
now they're saying all or nothing.
All or nothing, yeah. But back during that time, you could get a condition and then take the part that you didn't pass over. So longitudinally, our bar pass was something like 94.5% overall.
Okay.
So we did our bar passage changes and legal writing changes, and all that has made a difference.
Well, let's continue this on the next segment.
Yeah.
This is Locke Meredith Legal Lines. Judge Freddie Pitcher. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Locke Meredith, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself, Sean Fagan, and Corey Ogeron, and our entire staff for letting us come into your homes for the last 10 years via Legal Lines. We hope that you've come to a greater understanding of how the law works and how the government works for you. So from all of us, thank you. Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith again. We're very pleased to have on the show today Judge Freddie Pitcher. He's the Chancellor of Southern University's Law Center. Judge, we were talking about basically you left the top of a pyramid at a nice big firm making nice money, and you had to take on a challenge when you took over the Southern Law Center. Passage rate of the bar wasn't good. It was almost on probation by the folks that regulate law school. And then you came in and you made some significant changes, and there's been significant, wonderful improvement. Tell the folks what changes you made.
Well, let me just say that I had some wonderful buy-in by the faculty and staff when I went there, and to give them my vision of where we could go. And I think that they were looking for, a new shot in the arm, to go in a different direction from where we were. They had talked about an evening division for a number of years, but nothing had been done. I convinced the faculty that now is the time to change the paradigm at the law school. We could be a dual division law school. We applied to the ABA, got the approval to start a night school.
Fantastic.
And additionally, we at the same time applied to start a study abroad program in London. I was talking to one of my faculty members who told me about some of our students going to France with LSU.
Right.
And I had a couple of students who went to South Africa with Howard University. I said, why can't we start our own? And we now have been in London for 7 years, and it's been a wonderful program.
What school is Southern affiliated? I mean, I assume that your students go to a particular school there?
Right. We are affiliated with, our partner school is the University College London.
Fantastic.
And it's been a great relationship, and we'll be back there with about 50 students this coming fall.
And it's for what, a semester?
Coming summer. No, it's a summer 6-week summer program.
So they're exposed to international relations.
We do 4 courses: international criminal law, law of the European Union, comparative constitutional law, and private international law, which is kind of like conflicts law. And our students get a chance to travel all over Europe. We have guest lecturers, barristers from there in London. One of the key persons we had these last 2 years was a barrister QC, which is Queen Counsel, top of the line guy. It's Courtney Griffith, who was the chief defense lawyer for Charles Taylor at The Hague, at the International Criminal Court.
And they definitely do things a little different over there than we do.
Absolutely. Our students got a chance to see him in action at The Hague in the Netherlands, because they are able to travel over there and so forth. But those are,
great experience.
Those are great experiences.
At the school, Judge, I think you mentioned that you actually hired new faculty, 8 new folks to come in and teach the kids how to write.
Our legal writing program went from 2 to 8. We now have 8 faculty members who are devoted primarily to teaching nothing but legal writing. Our bar exam is all essay, and consequently, you have too many students really coming from undergrad who they're
teaching that multiple choice type
multiple
of test.
choice, true and false, and the art of writing has been lost from days of old, and so consequently, we had to do something to improve our students' writing ability, and that has meant a lot, because we've gone from, say, 39% in 2003. The class of 2011 bar passes was 69.88%.
So what you're saying is almost 4 out of 10 of the students before you got there, 4 out of 10 were passing, 6 out of 10 were not, and now 7 out of 10 are passing.
Right,
Fantastic.
Absolutely. And when we factor in the bar passes rate of our students from out of state who go and take out of state bar exams, our bar passage roughly is around about 75% overall. And our students do exceedingly well, for some strange reason, almost better on out of state bar exams than they do than we are doing here in Louisiana, and it's a civil law state.
Judge, discuss the cost of going to the school, because you've really that's helped.
We have we've increased our tuition up to it's $10,600, which is still the lowest in the state. LSU is about $17,000 a year. Loyola is around $38,000.
And you got Tulane.
And Tulane is $41,000 a year. And because of our tuition and because of the success of our students at graduation. The U.S. News and World Report has ranked Southern #1 as far as value at graduation.
Fantastic.
When you look at what our students pay for legal education and what they get at the end of the day compared to what other folks pay, and we are ranked #1
and
overall.
I think you said also chosen as the most popular.
We are, the U.S. News and World Report also had us #4 as the most popular law school in the country, followed behind Yale #1, Brigham Young #2, Harvard #3, and Southern #4.
Wow.
And this popular rating is based upon the application yield, where the number of acceptances you make and the students who actually come to your school based upon the acceptances. We're like 61%. When the average is something like around 30%.
And I think also that y'all have actually kind of changed the admission standards. You made it harder to get in.
We tweaked our admission standards because, as I indicated to you earlier, you only get out of the pipeline what you put in it. And we had to have some real hard decisions about who we were letting in law school. And doing so, our mission is the most important thing to us. Because we want to provide access and opportunity to students from underserved and underrepresented populations. And but you have to look at whether or not somebody is actually prepared to come to law school.
They got to pay their dues.
Right. Folks want to be lawyers, but yet and still you have to look at, are you prepared? So we look at their GPA and the LSAT score. If the LSAT score does not give our admissions committee an indication that this person can be successful, then they do not fall within that area. But another part of our mission is to provide leaders in society, and I bring that up because
y'all got some great alums.
Our alums.
It's amazing.
As I mentioned to you yesterday. We have a number of district attorneys. Actually,
I know Hill and Moore here in Baton Rouge.
We have. Let me run this down to you. We have Ricky Ward, 18 Judicial District Courts. Hill and Moore, Sam DeQuilla in the 20th, Joe Waits in the 32nd Judicial District, John Marvin in the 26th Judicial District, and Richard Johnson in the 42nd Judicial District, all district attorneys.
I think you told me that there's also 60 judges who are alums.
We have 78 judges who are alums. We have mayors, legislators.
It's fantastic.
We're quite happy with our leadership from our law school.
Judge, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This is Locke Meredith with Legal Lines and Judge Freddie Pitcher. Thank you for being with us.